No. There it goes. Welcome to the ESK8 UK live show, everybody. I'm Devin or Viper. This is Rachel.
What's up, guys?
And here we are. We're going to talk about some ESK8 stuff. I'm going to be annoyed by this popper. Um, there was a topic that we were talking about that we stopped talking about to save.
So I liked the conversation around the custom battery and that you had to Frankenstein it to make it fit. I think you should definitely share. That's super cool. And
Oh,
engineering.
yeah. For people that have watched before, they should know just about what Electra looks like. This is the same board. I can move my phone. I can move the camera. That's crazy. This is the same board. I just deck swapped it and got a De Vega. I hate this. I need to be able to use my rear camera. Got a De Vega, Tommy Boy deck, the Long Boy. Everything else is the same. Same trucks, same battery. But I had to reconfigure or rebuild the battery. Move. Because my old enclosure fits 3 cells wide this way. So 18S 4P only took from here down to here. This back here was all just open space and BMS. I had a massive buck converter in there and stuff. But I had to reconfigure it from that and zigzagging back and forth for the voltage line to just straight up, around, and down. It still takes but with this battery enclosure, it takes the whole thing is battery. There's none extra space at all. But conveniently, there's a little channel down the middle to run the BMS wires and whatnot. So they're not sitting up on top of the battery cells and whatnot. But it barely fit. It was a bunch of work. It took me like 6.5 hours, something like that.
And you were saying that you had to babysit while you were charging it. I think that's like really important because
there's
such a high risk fire, and you had done the cut up, so I think that was kind of cool too.
So yeah, it was a while ago, but the pack, the old BMS that I was using for some reason let the pack get too low in voltage. I think the total voltage in the entire 18S pack was like 24 volts, 26 volts, something like that. And this was before I reconfigured it or anything. So I have this. It's over here. It's a voltage meter that I kind of Frankenstein together and put the ends of the pH connectors that we use, like the little crimped metal ends, on the end of the leads. So there's these 2 open spots that are just bare wire that I temporarily solder to the negative and positive pins of this variable charger. You can select 0.5 amp, 1 amp, or 2 amps. I always use 0.5 amp for my vape batteries, but since it was 4P groups that I was recharging, I charged it on 2 amps because if you do the math, that's still only like 0.5 amp per cell or whatever. But the ends are these things, so you can just unplug. Well, I can just unplug the BMS leads and recharge the P groups individually, just by plugging these ends into the pH connector that's on the balance leads for the BMS. But it took me doing 1 P group at a time. I actually killed my old charger because I tried to do 2 at a time, not two sequentially, so it wasn't. It was. That's not the issue. You just can't parallel the ports. Period on any, and since the pack's still connected, even if I start at number one and then try to do 18 alongside number one, it kills the battery charger. But it took me a week because I was, like you said, babysitting it. I'm doing something like that because the lower the voltage gets or the higher the voltage gets, the more it increases the internal resistance of the battery cells, which too much internal resistance eventually leads to.
Yeah.
And so I don't do it. I will not do it to any pack that's like, I'd say, too low a voltage for more than a week. No,
Yeah.
that's too much time. The resistance in the cells is too high. I mean, I'll test the cells to see what the resistance is at. But generally, I won't do it for anything that's over a week. Uh, but I was babysitting them because of that whole popping issue. Um, and I was making sure that I was charging them all back up to the same voltage. To recycle them. That's the only thing that you can do. Um,
Yeah. That's why I like the
and
conversation
just an
around
FYI
that.
for everybody, I do not ever suggest doing that. Okay? Thin wallets lead to solutions to problems. Okay? I'm a broke boy. I could not afford to lose a $1,300-$1,400 battery. Okay? That's not in the cards. So we we engineered some stuff. It worked. The pack didn't suffer a whole lot, but it did suffer. It definitely my range was definitely decreased, and along with that, the power output was also slightly decreased as well because battery sag is also more prominent, and it falling too low in voltage rapidly ages the pack. So it's just like getting old really quick. Um, so it'll be like a 6 month old pack. If that happens, it'll, even if it's only a day, 2 3 days, something like that, it'll still age the battery probably another 2 3 months, like probably a 50 charge cycles, something like that, which is a lot. I would check. You never know. Um, so a lot of BMS systems have parasitic draw because they constantly monitor battery voltage. Um, Specifically ones that are bypassed for discharge because the BMS has no idea if you're using the battery at all or if it's just sitting. Um, if it's wired for discharge through the BMS, then the BMS knows how much is leaving the pack, how much is coming in, yada yada, so it can tell when you're using it. Um, but like my BMS specifically, it has a red light on it that stays on all the time. It either blinks or is solid. So that right there is parasitic draw already. So even for a lot of battery packs, even just leaving them plugged into the BMS will make them die. If I put any packs into like storage for any reason, I'd unplug the BMS and tape the leads up. Um, yeah, yeah, just unplugging the balance leads. It shouldn't make the BMS turn off or anything. Yeah. So, Rachel, what do you ride?
So my buddies that started 6040 built both the boards that I ride. So they're both just, I think, like $200 wood decks that I got online, and they've got flip ski motors, variations of batteries and VESCs, but The line that we had built or had all the batteries built by Spider. So
I like
yeah,
Spidey. He does good work.
I still don't know a lot about batteries. So it was just really cool to hear you talking about not only having such a monstrous battery like the 18P, but also that you Frankensteined it, that you did all this work. And I know you advocated not to do it, but I think people might still, and it's a good idea just to keep an eye on it. I thought that was great that you did that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Being broke leads to, like I said, solutions.
But at least you were, I mean, at least you were smart about it. You know that like a fire could spontaneously start. So you were there to keep an eye on it. And
Well, it also comes from experience too. I've accidentally plugged in a Nomad N1, the OG one. I plugged the charger in reverse polarity on accident because the keyway on that charger is like a millimeter and a half tall and does basically nothing. Obviously, because I could plug it in backwards, you know. Um, but yeah, that after that, I definitely started taking more and more precautions. I have definitely also seen my fair share of the white light from connecting things that shouldn't be connected. I have
yep,
also killed ESCs because I'm stupid and wired an XT90 backwards when
yeah.
doing a wiring harness and whatnot. So it definitely just comes with experience for sure. A lot of mistakes, a lot of expensive mistakes. Just the other day, when I was doing all of this, so the original cord for the DeVega was gorilla glued to the bottom of this deck by a friend of mine and super glued in some places. And if you don't know, silicone sheathing on wire is super, super, super soft, especially 20 gauge wire, the thin stuff. You can press your thumbnail into it. Like I can pinch strip the ends. That's what I do is just pinch the ends of the wires to strip them instead of using strippers because my thumbnail's not going to cut any of the copper on the inside of the sheathing, you know. Um, so when I removed said cord, it got absolutely obliterated. And I tried to, tape it back up and do all of that bunch of nonsense. Didn't work. Uh, ground and 5 volt got there, but either TX or RX, one of those two did not. So I made a new harness. But long story short, when I was doing that, I had uh, for some stupid reason. Well, no, I had the ESC plugged in because I was testing the polarity on the UART port to make sure I was doing correct ground and 5 volt up to the Vega. And I dropped because the cords are super long. I accidentally dropped the 5 volt positive for the UART port on what would have been the end of bank 17 and killed my ESC.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. If I shorted it to less voltage, it probably would have been okay. But since I shorted it to a whole 71 volt, she died for
Yeah.
sure. I have I have a box of ESC. Right now it's just two Maker X ESCs. They're both D100Ss and they're both dead. um I'm building well, I had a D100S in this board that replaced that in this. So this is a storm core. I made sure that both sides work the other day. I've had that thing for freaking ever. That was my second ESC. I started out on Flip Sky ESCs for my first build. Um, Killed two of those and then got a storm core instead. And then heard horror stories about storm cores and said, "Nah, I'm not trying to experience that," and swapped it out for a Maker X ESC. Wait, no. What did I swap it out for? I can't remember. I swapped it out for something though. But there's a million. Storm Core 60D pluses that are alive and kicking and work just perfectly fine. So I'm gonna just limit it to slightly less than max for motor amps and whatnot, and let her eat.
I was gonna say I haven't heard anything bad about the Storm Chorus, so that's interesting.
Um, I can't even remember what exactly it was at this point in time. This was like 4 years ago, probably. It was when I was first getting into the game. I bought. I actually have. I'm one of the few people that has video of the first time I ever rode an E-skate and like my raw reaction, because the guy whose E-skate I was trying took a video of me. I was way too hyped. I was way too hyped. I was super excited. Uh, Rightfully so. But um, I immediately got on Facebook Marketplace and found a Team Gi H5 blade, the sleekest electric longboard was their whole marketing thing. It had lipo pouches inside a wooden deck, so it looked like a regular board, and it was hub motors and stuff. The only thing that made it look any different was the little metal plate for the ESC down by the bottom toward the motors. Um, I think it got a whole 4 miles of range at 18 mile an hour and lasted me about a week before it kicked the bucket. Um, and then I started doing, for 2 months, I did research, and then was like, I got all the way down to the nitty gritty before I even purchased any parts, like how to tune the VESC. I made sure that I knew exactly what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I still regret some of those part purchases. Um, but then I built my first board. I called it Kitsune. There's pictures of it on my Facebook and whatnot, but also videos of it on my TikTok. There's a lot of videos of it on my TikTok. That's the board that I put. I've got more miles on this now, but I had, when it got stolen, I had like 3,700 miles on it, something like that. This has like almost 6,000 on it now. Well,
Dang.
now the ESC has like 100, but the trucks, wheel hubs, the motor gears probably only have like 1,500 because I switched from straight cut to helical. But my other helical drives have easy 4,500, or my other straight cut drives have 4,500 miles on them, and they look brand new still. They're Board Dynamics drives, if anybody's curious. Um, oh, have you seen the Propel Vector yet?
No.
No? Ah, you should look it up if you can. I'm on the test team for it. Me and a buddy of mine are, well, a couple of buddies of mine, but it's Propel's first race board, and it's extremely promising. Um, Promising enough that Tass, one of the fastest e-skate racers on the planet, arguably the fastest e-skate racer on the planet, uh, went out personally to their warehouse, manufacturing plant, whatever you want to call it, and even went as far as to custom design his own vector, um, custom ESCs, four-wheel drive, custom length, whole nine. And even in the short amount of time that he's had on it, he's absolutely destroying the track. And it's not even an outdoor track; it's an indoor go kart track. So it's notably slick, you know. Um, and he's saying he can't wait to see how the tires perform outdoors.
Yeah, those tires are awesome. We were watching this last weekend, actually, me and the 6040 guys were all together and we were watching some racing videos. And one of them was talking about how they should have a more wide set, slicker tire. And that thing looks like a beast.
It's
Have you gotten to ride it yet? Have you actually been on it?
I have not yet.
When is
I'm
that? Do you know when that's going to
not.
happen?
I wish. Um, we'll we'll just say that the person in charge of when is feeling pressure from all of us already on give it to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I'm definitely super 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 excited for it, especially after seeing what TAS was able to do with it. It's a new truck system that nobody's done before. That's of Propel's own design. Um, it is it's an NKP, so it's a three-link derivative. Obviously, not a direct copy. It's not even close to a direct copy. Uh, but it does use links for the main turning axis and whatnot. But the tires are 220 millimeter, so eight and what's that, 9 inches by 100. No, they're 180 by 100. So they're 7 inch by 4. It's a beefy tire. That's one of the things that I'm most excited about. Is
Yeah.
the I'm probably gonna get a set as long as the bolt pattern is um, the same as MBS. It'll be super easy for me to put them on this board. Uh, but I want the hub. I want the hubs and tires for this specifically because the hubs are super wide.
Yeah.
That's what we need is some super wide hubs. Like I was
Yeah.
super excited when Rev came out with their 110 by 77 millimeter hubs. They're 4 inch, so they fit 8 inch tires and up. Well, depending on the tire. Um, but they're super wide. 77 millimeters is 3.5 inches. Heck yeah. Um, I almost got a set of those, but they were out of stock at the time when I was looking at them. And then I got approached by someone from Propel asking if I wanted to be on the race team, so I decided to forego the purchase. Hi, Fia. Hello. Hello. Thank you for the kisses.
Super
Hi.
cool.
Hello. Yeah, I'm extremely excited about the Vector. It I wasn't expecting it to. So I don't know exactly what the final configuration is. I know it won't be like TAS's at all. They're not going to use. It's not going to be four wheel drive. They're not going to use VESC. Um, but I'm pretty sure Javen is open to selling just the chassis, so you can build it um, however you want. Specifically because the battery that they want to use for that board can't be shipped overseas because it's too high of a discharge. Well,
Oh,
it can't be shipped out of China because of China's rules. Um, Hi. So I know he's at least contemplating selling just the bare chassis so people can build it however they want. Um, I'm also attempting to keep our test unit. So the US gets one test unit and it it gets sent around to everybody. Um, as far as I know right now. And I'm trying to persuade them to let me either buy it or let me keeps it.
yeah.
Because as previously stated, beat the crap out of my boards, and I would. Propel is notorious for having extremely well built and capable boards that you can beat on and beat on and beat on, and they just don't break. So I would very much like to see if that carries over to their racing department,
Yeah.
and that'll take me more than the couple hundred miles I'm going to be able to put on it before I have to put it back in a box. Sadly, I also firmly believe that you need. So I barely get a feel for a board after a couple hundred miles. I need like 500 ish to give a real good, definitive. This is good. Um, but I'm also super picky too. I'm extremely picky about my boards. I can't. I don't know. I guess you could say I can't leave well enough alone. But I don't know if it could also come back to maybe a little bit of OCD just stuffed in there. But it just bothers me to have things not look nice and not be completed. Like when I taped up, when I like, good lord, when I taped up that DeVega cord and put it underneath that enclosure, I couldn't stand it because I knew nobody could see it, obviously, but I knew that it looked like shit, and I could, even if it worked, I guarantee you, within a week, I would have rebuilt that cord anyway because I knew that it looked like crap. Hi, Fia, you're so needy. Hi, baby.
What's the fastest you've ever gone on a ride?
Um, so the fastest I've seen on my remote, which is within 1 mile an hour accurate, um, was 52. But I have the highest I've seen on GPS is 50.9. I'm upset about the 0.9. May as well be 51. Okay.
And which board was that on? That one?
Ye old faithful.
Awesome.
I call this one Electra from the Daredevil movies.
Nice.
I like my names for things to be references to something. Like Kitsune is the Japanese. It's a Japanese cat. Like it's a legendary cat of a cat of lore, of myth, of legend. And then Electra is from Daredevil. The board that I'm putting the Storm Core in, I call it No More because it started life out as a Nomad from Ace Deck. And I call it No More because no more Ace Deck. Here pretty soon, the only thing that's going to be left on it that's Ace Deck is the trucks, and that'll be the only thing that stays Ace Deck is the trucks, and eventually that might even change. I'm getting the DKP to TKP conversion kit that they sell because I don't like DKP. I bought a Violet for my significant other, and since I don't like DKP, I wasn't going to force her to ride DKP. So I took those immediately off and put a set of Surf Rods TKP trucks on it with some super soft WFB bushings and Radium SR125 wheels. And now it just carves like a dream. It's fantastic. I'm actually waiting for some lifetime belts from eBoard stuff to come in because one of the belts on that board, and I don't have a spare, is actively cracking and like splitting apart. If I hit the brakes too hard, it's going to break. So I haven't been riding it, and I'm kind of fiending to ride it again because the way it carves is just immaculate, especially with the SR wheels being like street wheel size, but being rubber. They just grip so good, especially which you can't really compare the two because it's rubber. You're comparing rubber versus urethane. but they feel a lot better than the Mad Max 125 wheels do. The Mad Max slide a lot easier, obviously, because they're urethane. Um, but the SR 125 wheels are a lot more dampening. Like they feel like the old Mad 105 wheels did, as far as like dampening sidewalk cracks and stuff like that. Whereas the Mad Max don't. They don't feel like the 105s did. Like when I first got on some 105s and hit some sidewalk cracks, I was like, "Holy crap! Now this is a wheel." I could, compared to a traditional urethane wheel, I could barely feel the fact that I was on a sidewalk with the 105s, but the 125s you can there's significantly more feedback from road conditions into the board than with the 105s or the radium 125s. Sorry, I ramble.
It's good. It's
It's a
information
pretty
people need.
yeah, the I do it more since Suki told me that the whole purpose of doing this is for documentation, not necessarily the fact that it's a live stream. Uh, though that part's cool because we get, sometimes we get some really interesting questions from the community and whatnot.
Yeah.
Uh, so I definitely ramble more now since she told me that, because now it's for the information. So here's all of it. Being interrupted by this cute thing is not helping either. Um, I wish I would have found that post from Tef1. I didn't see it on their Facebook. The last post on their Facebook is open registration, but apparently a Tef1 event is canceled, which really sucks.
Yeah, I don't think we ever got
Um,
to the bottom of what the reason why was.
yeah, probably not. It's probably lack of interest, or whether from vendor side of things or attendee side of things. It's probably along the same lines as ESK8 Con. That seems to be it's. I don't know. E-skate in general is just so skateboarding is niche, and then there's parts of skateboarding. Oh, insurance,
Oh, okay.
insurance. That stuff's expensive, bro. Especially for an event like that. Like, even I was talking to Mooney, the guy that runs our Enchetta Speed chapter here, and he does insurance for a living. Um, like he's working on starting his own firm type stuff. And he said that even for like our small, I think it was like 8 to 10 people spec race that we did this summer, insurance for that would be like $1,500 a day. And we did 3 days, so that right there's $4,500.
Yeah.
Who's got that laying around? You know, and especially for Tef1, it's a much, much, much bigger event. Many, many, many more people. And Tef1's also long track, so getting a company to insure long track is harder than getting them to insure short track, because top speeds are way, way, way higher. Like
That's a
short
good
track
point.
is usually below 40 miles an hour. Long track, they're 60 plus. you know
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one of those dudes goes down at 60, and I guarantee you, even if he's in full leathers, he's coming out the other side with some sort of injury,
Yeah.
because not only does hitting the ground at 60 miles an hour hurt, just falling over, but you're going to slide for who knows how long. And yeah,
Yeah.
obviously protective gear mitigates that quite a bit, but it only does so much in the long run.
Have you been to this event before?
I have not. I have watched it though. I've watched it quite a bit. I wish I had a
It's
bigger phone.
probably huge if they've got this many different types of PEVs going too. I mean, I see a bike on there, so
Yeah, they do. They do e-moto, EUC, e-scooter. I think they do e-scooter, um, and
Arizona.
e-skate as well.
That's yeah. That sounds epic. It's probably really fun. Too bad they can't
Yeah,
do
they
it.
do. Yeah, like I said, TEF One does long track. So they did one of their first events in California. Somebody hit a top speed of 63, I think, on the back straight, which is absolutely freaking bonkers. I don't. At present, I don't foresee myself ever going that fast or even attempting to go that fast on any sort of piece of wood or carbon fiber variant. I don't care.
Yeah.
Even if it's all metal, if it's a stooge chassis, I don't care. That's too damn fast.
I
Like
just hit
50s, 50, 55's pushing it, brother. That's pushing it pretty good.
I just hit 35 this last weekend, and my previous best was 30.5. So that was
Hell
pretty
yeah.
awesome.
Hell yeah.
Extra
Yeah, no,
5 miles. Oh,
after 25, dude, every mile an hour is a milestone for
I
sure.
know. I could. I mean,
Because 25 is where speed wobbles start. Like that's
I
where
got
you
speed
find out
bubble.
if your setup is capable of going that fast. I figured that out the hard way a couple of times with my first build, Kitsune. Actually, I didn't know about wedging and de-wedging and changing kingpin angles and all that stuff. Because I was focused more on the learning the electronics portion and making sure I was getting stuff that was compatible with each other and yada yada. Uh, but I found out that symmetrical angles are not the greatest if you're trying to go more than 25 miles an hour. At least for me. I also, which I did get the whole, talk of going faster. You need to lean forward more, put more weight on the front truck to mitigate speed wobbles and kind of stop them and whatnot. So I knew all of that, but it was literally just the angle. I had too steep of a rear angle. Um, so anything over 25 was just any sort of imperfection in the road immediately gave me wobbles. Um, a D wedge fixed all of my issues almost instantly. Um, I was then able to do 40 miles an hour, which was top speed on that board, which is crazy. Looking back, the first board I ever built, top speed was 40.
It was awesome. It was awesome to go that speed, but I got speed wobbles. I pulled out of it, which was great because the last two times I've gotten speed wobbles, I crashed. So it was great to
Yeah,
not
it's
this time.
coming back from speed wobbles is super difficult. It's not.
It was
I don't
awesome to
even
fly
know if it's easier
there.
to do with experience.
Yeah. Well, after the
Like,
last two crashes, my buddies kind of gave me some tips, and I was of sober mind and body. So I knew I was going into high speeds. I knew to prepare myself. I crouched down. When they came, I just kind of, I actually accelerated through it. I don't like the slowing down because I can't handle that. So I accelerated through it. It was great.
oh yeah,
Yeah. It would have been bad to go down at 35, I think. So,
yeah. Anything going down at anything 30 or more is, especially if you don't have knee pads, elbow pads, riding jacket, whatever, it
yeah.
sucks. The last time I fell was on No More, and it was at its top speed right now is 31 until I get the new drives. And I was going that fast when I fell, and even through my riding jacket, there's that
Dang.
bit of pink, and I got my hip pretty good, like hip top of ass cheek. Um, was pretty. It wasn't like super deep road rash. It was mostly superficial, but even at 30 miles an hour with gear on, that still sucks.
What made you
And
crash?
that's
That's not
only
fast
30.
for you.
It was so I ride. I don't have a car. I live in Salt Lake City, so I don't necessarily need one. So I ride to and from work, and I work at a restaurant where I get off well after dark. uh, I have a flashlight, obviously. I have lights and whatnot, but I had just checked traffic behind me, and when I turned back around, manhole cover.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then your boy doesn't like DKP because of how quickly it, when you put input into one side or the other, the ratio and how quickly that turn happens. I don't like how fast that is. Even if you decrease angle or tighten the board side bushing, whatever, it doesn't make it any slower. And it's, I guess you would, a lot of people call it being nimble, but it's twitchy, is what it is for me. Because the slightest amount of input either way gives you so much back and forth turn. Um, but when the front end dipped into the manhole cover, I put a little too much weight on my toe and just straight off into traffic. Well, into the lane. There wasn't any traffic, thank God. Um, that's actually a Tommy Boy deck too. Now that I think about it, I can't remember which one it is either. It's one of the longer ones. It's just the flat nose version. But yeah, I don't like. You can ask anybody. I don't like DKP. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. The only board that I even slightly enjoyed the DKP on was actually the Endurance 1.0. That those DKP actually, like, even up to the 37-mile-an-hour top speed, felt perfectly stable.
Nice.
And I didn't have. There was only one scare that I got with wobbles from them, and that was kind of my own fault. My buddy James is the guy that drives the RC car and rides his board at the same time. We were on the Red Rock ride. He actually has a video of me getting this particular speed wobble, but I was following his RC car a little too close, and I was gonna pass on the left because I was recording too. I was gonna get some flyby footage of the car, and it's like the curb, probably like 3 or 4 feet, and then his car. So I had, when I went to go, I had room, but he quick zipped to the left to avoid a rock that was in the way. And when I slowed down, when I started to slow down, I didn't apply the brakes, but I put my weight backward as if I was applying the brakes, and it immediately gave me a little wobble. But
Oh,
even then, it was
yeah.
just a little, like, it was the smallest wobble ever for the amount of weight that I had on the rear end. And then I just threw my weight back forward, and it just stopped. And that was on DKP on an Endurance 1.0 that Amboards was loaning me.
Those are the only DKPs you trust.
Yeah, I haven't tried the all famous Evolve Supercar 2 DKP trucks that everybody swears by. Um, so I could definitely try more DKP trucks. Um, I just don't. They're just not my thing, really. I just don't like them. But I'm also different than most people. I also don't like 3 links. Um, they don't. The deck angle that you get isn't enough to match the turning angle that you get. I feel like for how I like my boards to perform. It just, you barely tilt the stooge deck, and it's a lot of turn in the actual angle. Uh, the polar opposite of that is duality trucks. Um, they isolate the rider's weight from the bushing the same way. It's achieved differently, but the same way that 3 links do. So you stepping on the board doesn't change bushing hardness. It doesn't affect how the board turns or anything like that. And it also doesn't have that extra axis of articulation from the truck, because like when you hit bumps and stuff, you're compressing the board side bushing with the hanger, and it's tweaking the angle of said hanger ever so slightly, but it's still there. It's considered slop. Um, but Duality have a sliding kingpin, so when you get to what would be max angle on any traditional setup, it gives you 15 degrees more. And that translates to the steering and the actual board angle itself. So you get 15 degrees more steer and 15 degrees more board angle, which I absolutely love. That part about dualities is the extra board angle, because it helps you stay on the board in corners, and especially in a tight corner. If the board is more of an upward angle, you're pushing into the deck instead of off the side of it. Hi. But I also just love duality trucks, period. I try to get everybody and their grandma to ride them shits, because they're just good. They're just really, really, really good. There's zero center slop, so there's no dead space in the middle from when you apply force to when you get the turn. You could technically run them without bushings, which is kind of wild. There's actually a dude that does run them without bushings, because he likes super, super, super loose setups, and he had his bushings so loose one day that they fell out, and he didn't notice, and he just left it like that.
Yeah.
Whatever works, bro. But yeah, if they're not as expensive as stooge trucks, but they're not cheap. It's $450 for a set. There's mountain board versions and flat deck versions. They're split angle base plates to give you more turning in the rear, less turning in the front, for exactly what you want for a high speed, stable but still carvy experience. And they're all CNC, like in-house CNC aluminum. 12 millimeter axles, so they're super strong. You're basically not going to bend an axle unless it's extenuating circumstances like a crash. And then the owners are really cool. You can hit them up and ask them just about any question about the trucks, what fits on the trucks as far as drivetrain and whatnot. And then they've been out just long enough where a lot of aftermarket accessory companies like Big Beams from PEV Components, he has a truck mount already for them, which it's a kind of standard 20 by 20 millimeter square, like rounded square, that a lot of trucks use as the profile. A lot of trucks use either 20 by 20 or 22 by 22. Like Lynn Power uses 22 by 22 for the majority of their trucks. I like when companies do that too, when everybody like kind of silently agrees, hey, we're going to use this. Like MBS has their 5-star bolt pattern for their wheel hubs, and a lot of places use the same 5-star bolt pattern. What I don't know if it's intentional or not, but like Tommy Boy's Hubba Hubs it's pevcomponents.com, Big Beams. It's headlights that go up to 80 volt. So you can wire them directly into battery voltage. He sells switches that go with them for like $6 or something like that. You can get them with all the necessary connectors and stuff. But they have high and low beams. And if you get the switch from him, one way is low, center is off, and up is high beams, which is super cool. The low beams are yellow, I believe. They're really badass lights. They're super, super, super bright on the high beam mode. Um, I'm trading it out because I've had this $10 Amazon LED light bar that accepts up to 100 volt for over a year, and it's just not as bright as it was anymore. It started out at I think 4,000 lumen or 4 or 7,000 lumen, and it's probably like two now. 2,000 lumen. It's not bright at all. It's definitely only so people coming the opposite direction of me can see me. It's not for my benefit in the slightest. So I ordered big beams. I think for a set with truck mounts, it's like 75, $80, something like that. So they're not terribly expensive, but I wouldn't necessarily consider them cheap either. But for what you get, they're pretty cost effective. Yep, ADHD. I forgot what I was saying before Suki asked that question. Do you have anything that you would like to discuss, Miss Rachel?
I think we talked about a lot of good stuff for this episode.
Okay. I can't. I'm on my phone now. If everybody can tell, I don't have a time for the amount of time that we've been live on my screen anymore.
51, so
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Not too shabby. My phone's dying anyway. It's on the charger, but it's still dying. So probably a good time to call it. Um, PEV Components is US based as well, by the way. He ships from South Carolina, somewhere on the East Coast. Pretty sure. Alrighty. Well, it was good talking to you. It was nice
You too.
meeting you. It
You
was
as
a good
well.
episode. Y'all stay up.